Hey everyone, Jason Schappert here. Welcome to Inflight Coffee, Season 2, Episode 4. Today, it's an Airspace quiz.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Inflight Coffee. Oh, it's an amazing day, MzeroA Nation. Jason Schappert here. So good to see you. We're on Episode 4 of Season 2 of Inflight Coffee. I've got the coffee machine warmed. It's ready to go. We're diving into an Airspace quiz today. I'll be teaching a little bit of Airspace. Then, of course, we'll be diving into the iPad, and I'll be quizzing you, Seema, Danny, Chris Stater, Kazim, Hunter. I'll be quizzing you guys, so just be ready for that. But super excited to have you all. Hunter took her lunch break to be here, so thank you for that, Hunter. Between students, isn't that the best lifestyle on a Saturday? Just cranking through students, everything else. I used to love that. So, so good to see so many of you here. Mr. Verselli, great to see you. Brian Morrison, Pete, great to see you. Hey, Pete, good news. We haven't found your package yet, but we found the pink slip that's going to allow us to go find the package. So that's our step on Monday to go do. We just found that this weekend. Miguel, good to see you. Wingman Racing, good to see you. Steve from Michigan. Alex Smith, good morning to you as well. John Johnson, good to see you. Is Coach Ray, is he flying good? I know you flew with him recently. I want to make sure he's still doing good. Maddie, Scott, good to see you all. Hey, let's make some coffee here, and then we are going to dive into our Airspace quiz. Really, really looking forward to that. Who could use, type in me in the chat, who could use a little bit of help in the Airspace department? That's what I want to know. Who just loves the smell of coffee too? Is that weird? When I was a kid, I used to love the smell of coffee. I thought coffee was gross. Now I just couldn't live without it. That's a problem. So making a little bit of coffee here. I don't need to load it up too much. Let's see. Ken Young, good to see you on here, my friend. How is oh, that's my next question, isn't it, Magda? You all know the drill if this is your first time. By the way, look at the Airspace people. Maddie, Shane, Brian, Wingman Racing says this guy for sure. That's okay. We're here to work on it together. While I'm making a cup of coffee, I need you to check in. And you check in where you're watching from and how is the weather. Caesar, how we do it though, is using only emojis, which you're very good at, Caesar. I see all the emojis there, all the fire emojis. This is your first time here. We're going to make a cup of coffee. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about airplanes. It's going to be amazing. That much I promise you. That much I promise you. John Vargas, great profile picture as always. I'm making a mess, Magda. I'm sorry. Where are you watching from? How is the weather using only emojis? So we're down in Naples today. If I had to do it, I would use a snowflake emoji because it was 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Or 15 degrees Celsius this morning. So it was a little bit on the chilly side here. Coffee mugs there. We have water. Everything looks good. Magda, the most important part. Clear prop is right. Let's do it. Charlotte, North Carolina is freezing, says Mr. Stater. Danny Carson is on the road listening. Well, that is phenomenal, my friend. We are excited that you've taken the time to listen. Come on, coffee machine. We've got coffee pressure, oil pressure. BMI, Michael says it's cold. Troy says it's cold. Zach, cloudy in Portland. All right, Kazim in Orlando. Kazim, it's definitely colder in Orlando than it is in Naples. Where's the snowflake emoji? It's got to be freezing there. Dave Rowe, good to see you. All right, we got that. Let's add some water to the equation here as well. Americano style. You know, the Americano was invented in one of the world wars. I can't remember which to stretch out an espresso just to make it last longer. Thus the Americano. I can't remember if it was World War I. World War II, but anyways, let's see. Jax, Florida, cold and windy. DD929 says he's got a brown paper bag, so it's clearly quality coffee. That's from a little local roaster, actually. Let's see if this is going to stop in time. I'm ready to step in and save the day. If not, it should be stopping any second. It was stressing me out too much. I couldn't let it get that close to the top. I already made enough of a mess in a studio. Okay, now. Caesar, who is new? Who's this? There's their first time watching In-Flight Coffee. Don't judge me. I use honey in the coffee. Who's in Stowe, Vermont? We were just there. We were just there when it was 2 weeks ago, and it was freezing. That's when it was like, yeah, minus 30 and craziness. Yeah, I sweeten the coffee with honey. It's the appropriate way. It's nature's way of doing it. That was probably a lot of honey, but that's okay. All right, and now, yes, Eric Pittman, whoever's out there. I remember to spoon. Jonathan Vargas, I remember to spoon. Don't worry one bit. All right. we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about Airspace. You already shared with me who you are, where you're watching from, how the weather is, using only emojis. Some of you, I'm very impressed by your emoji game, by the way. You did a really, really good job with your emojis. All right, Brian Morrison, you're right. David Rosario Perez in Milwaukee. Will we see you at Oshkosh? I would hope so. You're so close. We fly over Milwaukee on the way up there. Troy David's first time, Butch Roberts' first time, Dave's first time. Awesome. So happy to see you guys all on here. So how it works, we make a cup of coffee. We sit down for, I don't know, 50, 55 minutes, kind of like a METAR every 55 minutes. That was a bad pilot joke. Magda's looking at me like, just get to the point, Jason. And we talk about a topic. Today our topic is Airspace. We're gonna do it as an Airspace quiz. We're gonna dive over to the iPad here in a bit as well to do some of that quizzing. So really excited about that. Before I do that, type in me in the chat if you have successfully completed the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. Who ended up being 31 for 31? I know so many of you I saw on the live stream. We had almost 700 people simultaneously live on that thing, and then went on to get thousands and thousands of views thereafter. But just congratulations to you all on that. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal job. Thank you to the MzeroA team who worked so diligently on that. Who feels like 2023 is gonna be their safest, best flying year yet? Because that truly is the goal of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge, and truly the goal in everything we do. The real goal is to save just one life. And even today, on a Saturday afternoon, drinking a cup of coffee, you're probably saying, Jason, how are you gonna save just one life, drinking a cup of coffee, and teach about Airspace? You know, you never know these things. Shane, I love your comment there. It says 31 for 31 while doing ground school. That's like double dipping. I love it. That's overachieving. I love it. And if you need to catch up, Chris Stater, I will be your accountability partner. I will make sure, I'll text Cindy and make sure that you're being caught up on the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. We can't have you fall behind. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Bill Linfield, hey, Coach Ray, can we put Bill Linfield's comments on there? Coach Ray, Bill's asking if we can do the 365-day challenge. I mean, it wasn't that hard. I mean, he just whipped together those 31 videos. 365 couldn't be that hard, right, Coach? So. Anyways, that would be impressive. That would be quite impressive. Awesome. Congratulations to you all with that. So, all right, let's dive into it. Let's talk about some Airspace. Thanks for the kind words, JSK Enterprise. Sorry. I'm going to show you something here. And I just want to know, when you see this image of some crazy class Bravo with some Charlies, with some Deltas, with some echo transition areas. There's some restricted airspace in there. There's some permanent temporary flight restrictions. I'll explain more of that in a bit. Does this image just stress anybody out? Who would be so honest as to say, hey, Jason, just you show me that image. It stressed me out a little bit, right? And I was that pilot. You know, it's so funny. I found, and instrument pilots, you can relate well to this. Private pilots, you spend so much time learning that VFR sectional chart and studying it and just learn everything you can. And then all of a sudden you pass your check ride and you go to your instrument and they go, here's your next chart to learn. You go, I just spent so much time learning this VFR sectional chart. Now you're telling me I need to go learn a whole low and route chart and everything else. Like it stressed me out a little bit. And then the airspace is shown differently with different colors and everything else. We're gonna focus on a VFR sectional chart today because I will tell you, even as a primarily instrument pilot, most of my flights are on an instrument flight plan, I still primarily look at a VFR sectional chart because it's so data rich. It's so data rich. But I want to take this image, let's show the image again here. I want to take this image and I want to give some honest depth to it. Because when you look at it, and we're going to quiz on this whole thing, and not just Orlando, we'll venture all around the country as well and everything else. I want to spend some time, hey Jimmy, I want to spend some time diving into this a little bit more thoroughly. And this is how I want you to look at it. You see, airspace is truly three-dimensional. If you could just zoom out of a sectional chart, and if you could build out that class Bravo airspace to see it, if they just gave us these beautiful 3D printed models of airspace, wouldn't airspace and the towers and everything else associated, wouldn't it be so much easier? You see, this is what we've done. Actually, this is an animation. We have an amazing animation team. Where are my online ground school members at? You've seen this animation. This animation is inside of our online ground school from the class Bravo lesson plan in there. To really take a flight around it, because people always told me, oh, airspace, it's like an upside down wedding cake. And there I was, a 16-year-old kid thinking, no one's ever invited me to a wedding, so I don't even know what a wedding cake, what do you mean it looks like a wedding cake? But then when I get to understand it in a three-dimensional sense, I can see, I can fly under this airspace. I can fly around this airspace. Like, that helps it click a little bit easier for me when I can see that in that three-dimensional space. That's just the power of the MzeroA online ground school. We take complex subjects and do our best to break them down into plain English so you can truly see them. But as we're looking at things today, as we're looking at this Orlando airspace, look at this one on your screen now. Now you've got Orlando's class Bravo that I just shared with you. And then up top, you've got this class Charlie airspace here. But look at this with me. If we look, and let me get my cursor on your screen here. And let me teach for a second. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Solid magenta line. Solid magenta line is our class Charlie, class C airspace. Solid blue lines here is our class B, our class Bravo airspace. And you can see the shelves of this airspace. Given to you in these improper fractions. For example, this one has a base of 4,000 feet up to 10,000 feet. So if you want to fly over that Bravo airspace, you need to do it at 10,001 feet, technically. Call it 10,500 just to be safe though, please, right? If you want to fly under the shelf, it's from 3,000, so 2,999 feet. Now listen, I'm not going to advocate you fight with the FAA and say, no, Mr. Miss FAA, I was at 2,999 feet. Nana nana boo boo, like Ella and Gavin say to each other. No, I would recommend going 2,500 feet, so it's not even close, right? Then we look at this Charlie airspace, and we get into some weird things here. You look at the Charlie airspace here, and you can see, oh, this shelf, very interesting. It goes from 1,300 feet up to T. What does a T mean? Well, the T means its top goes to the bottom of this Bravo, which is essentially 3,000 feet. So this Charlie stops at 2,999 feet. That's what I'm explaining there, Carlos. You're exactly right. Up to the bottom of the Bravo. Even its center point here, from the surface up to the T. Marilyn, good to see you. That's where we're going next, Marilyn, so we'll see you over there. The surface up to the top, its top is the bottom of the, let me just show it to you. Let me show it to you real quick here, okay? I got another animation here. This is the same animation. This is the Charlie airspace. Can you see how we have the shelves, the tiers of that? And again, this is a video from inside our online ground school. So those of you who were saying earlier how the 3D animations are a game changer, that kind of stuff, this has all been done by our animation team. It's available to you inside our online ground school if you struggle with airspace. But Carlos, do you see how the two airspaces, they border each other? They butt up. You can't be in two sets of airspace at once. You're at 3,000 feet, you're in Bravo, you're at 2,999. In this case, you're in Charlie. Does that make sense for everybody there? Look, there's even a little window to fly under it right there. Just see that for a second, right? So that's really kind of how that works. So you get a better understanding of it. Now, with your permission, if I could do a little bit of teaching here, I'm gonna switch over to the iPad. I gotta get a sip of coffee. This is a coffee show, and I haven't taken a sip of coffee just yet. So give me 1 second here. It's good. It's still a little too hot. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to that. Let's dive into it. Give me 1 second here. I was trying to download the new charts, but it's taken forever. So it's gonna say map expired on here, but it's not a big deal. Do you have it, Magda, or do you need me to airplay it again? Magda's got it. Okay. So let's look at the same airspace we were just looking at here. Now, we were looking at that class Charlie, butting up to our class Bravo. However, I would argue, and Jimmy, great question. He said, do you need approval from going to Bravo to Charlie and vice versa? There would be one scenario where that would happen, Jimmy, is if you were transitioning the airspace just VFR. Yes, you would need to get those magic words cleared into Orlando's class Bravo airspace, and then you need to be talking to the controller that controls the Charlie. So that's that. If you're on an IFR flight plan, you're cleared through it. Now, this is complex airspace though. So let's do it a little bit easier here. Let's do something a little bit more simple. Let's go back to where it all started for MzeroA, here at the good old Ocala Airport. Put it in the chat real quick for me. What kind of airspace is Ocala? What kind of airspace is Ocala? Put it in the chat. It is a blue dashed line. I'll grab a sip of coffee while you type that in there. It is a blue dashed line. What kind of airspace is that? Good job, James. Hey, James, this is 2 live streams in a row for you. You were on 31 days, I remember that. Good to see you again. Good job. Hunter, I wouldn't expect anything less. Hey, Tony, nice to see you on here. Eric H., good to see you. Joseph, yeah, great. Chris Stater, smarter than the average bear. Yes, this blue dashed line, I'm annotating it now. I'm making it solid blue, but I'm circling it. That is Class D, Class Delta airspace. Must I be cleared in the Class Delta airspace? Yeah, you need two-way radio communications are required when operating in Class D airspace. I can't just willy-nilly go flying through it. Now, knowing that two-way radio communications are required, what else is required in there? Well, my VFR, visibility, and cloud clearance requirements are important as well. And we teach a 3-152. 3 152s, 3 Cessna 152s. I need 3 statute miles of visibility. I need to be 1,000 feet above the clouds, 500 feet below the clouds, right? And the 2,000 feet horizontally from the clouds as well. 3 miles, and then 1, 5, 2. 1,000 above, 500 below, 2,000 horizontally. Who's responsible for measuring that? You are. You're the pilot in command. CFR 91.3, right? Your pilot in command responsibility. Do you need to fly with a 2,000-foot ruler in your airplane that you hold out the window? Or maybe, you know, if you're really fancy like Telvin or Holly, maybe you have like a laser measurer that you shoot out the window to measure. I'm just teasing. Don't do that. It's your judgment. You as the pilot need to know what that actually looks like. Above and below is a little bit easier. Below is the easiest because you know where the cloud deck is. Tops aren't always reported very accurately and they're constantly changing. Horizontally is a tough one to grasp. You need to physically know what 2,000 feet looks like from a cloud so you can tell that. Now back to our example of Ocala here, because this is airspace, not a weather lesson here. Go ahead. I like, some come up Facebook user, and I don't know why, I apologize. It must be a permission settings on your Facebook or something. They said, "Can I snap a picture of my cloud clearance?" I like it. All right. And actually, that's not a terrible idea. Like if someone's ever questioning, you can take a picture to know what it looks like. Now, around, let me come out here. Let me turn off radar just so we're not getting any extra distractions here. Then we have around, and I'm just going to keep with blue as my color for annotating. Then around it, we have this thing, this faded magenta circle. Hey, what is this faded magenta circle that I'm circling here around this, around Ocala, and also around the Marion County, formerly called the Denellen Airport? What is that? Yes, Raymond, it is echo. What type of echo? Thank you, Pamela. Very, very smart. Pamela, do you know the exact name of it? You're right about the altitude. You're right about the altitude. Scott, you're right about the altitude and the name. Yes, this is Class E. Does anybody know? William, do you know what type of Class E this is? Thank you, Mr. Ensko. Good job. That's my first correct answer. That's my first correct answer. Tim Hawk said a snowman. A snowman sleeping on half upside down. And then he has eyes and you're exactly, and his buttons. Oh, the airport's a button. You're exactly right. I can see it now. I can totally see it now. Okay, what is that? That is our, thank you, Chris Stater. That is our Class Echo transition area. Leave this slide up here for just a second, Magda. So, that faded magenta airspace is our Class Echo transition area. There's another type of Class Echo Outside of this, like here, and here, and here, and here, and anywhere that's not something else is called domestic en route. What's the difference? Outside here by these blue X's, Class Echo airspace starts at 1,200 feet. Inside of the snowman, inside of our Class Echo transition area, you all know the number, Class Echo airspace, if it's not depicted by something else, like in this case, a delta, and there's some other things we'll talk about there, Class Echo airspace starts, especially in the case of the Marion County Airport, at 700 feet. Why is this important? Okay, I'm gonna swap it up here. I'm gonna change colors just for a second, okay? I am out here flying, all right? The weather conditions are not that great. And I'm up here on that red line, I'm cruising along. The weather conditions are not that great. In fact, I am doing the best I can to maintain VFR. Now, in Class G airspace during the day, what are my VFR visibility and cloud clearance requirements? Class G, Class Gulf airspace during the day, my VFR visibility and cloud clearance requirements are basically a mile in clear clouds. Don't stick your head in the clouds and you'll be fine. So back to our chart, if I wanted to fly around in a mile clear clouds, I would have to be below 1,200 feet, basically scud running, unfortunately, because I have those X's that I put there, that's domestic en route. So I can scud run here all I want at 1,100 feet. It's super stupid and super dangerous, to put it bluntly, but I can fly all along this at 1,000 feet, 1,100 feet if I want to. But if I want, and sneak into this little private airport here, and then do a touch and go at this private airport here, right? And I can continue on, but can I go in this Class Echo transition area if I wanted to try to get to the Marion County Airport? Well, could I? Well, remember, Class Echo airspace starts inside of that transition area, or as Tim called it, the snowman. What does it start at? It starts at 700 feet. Well, at 700 feet, Class Echo airspace, I need what? 3 statute miles visibility, 1,000 feet above, 500 feet below, 2,000 feet horizontally from the clouds. I can't go buzzing around in there at 1,000 feet. That is now an airspace or a weather violation. Right? I'm no longer able to maintain my VFR visibility and cloud clearance requirements to sneak in here. That is why all this transition airspace exists. It exists to keep people from willy-nilly flying into this airport while they're trying to shoot instrument approaches. Now, they take it even further in some cases. If you look at Ocala, you can see, let me turn off my annotations, go up just a little bit, there we go. You see, we have this dashed magenta line right there attached to it. Do you see the dashed magenta line? Let me zoom in just a little bit more. You see the dashed magenta line? I'll physically draw on it, just in case you can't see it here. This dashed magenta line. Now I'll clear that one back. That is Class Echo airspace at the surface. Class Echo airspace at the surface. What does that mean now? All the way down to the surface, it's 3,152. What does that mean for me? Well, the reason we have this is we have an ILS 3.6, and we're trying to protect the localizer coming off that ILS and GPS 3.6 to keep people, the same people that are flying around willy-nilly out here, from blazing right through my approach course. It is illegal to do such if they were trying to scud run and do that, because it's now Class Echo airspace all the way down to the surface. Now, so that is called a Class Echo surface extension. Now there are some airports, let's go to a different part of the world, country in this case. Let's see how well the internet's going to behave, because I don't have these charts downloaded up here. They're doing pretty good. That we can look at some other airspace out here where you can see some serious Class Echo extensions, right? Going into, I don't know why it's just not, the internet's acting up somewhere, it's kind of in between two charts trying to load there. You can see some serious Class Echo surface areas coming out over the Vineyard, as well. Now, we also will have, and I'll go back down to, let's go to southern Georgia. I know a few in southern Georgia, what I'm looking for. You'll also see some airports, I'm looking for it, that are Class Echo airports. I'll find one here. Got one. Bacon, stop the madness. Bacon County. I would love to live in Bacon County. That sounds yummy.
Talking about food, tell Jamie that you
Yeah.
owe some sushi.
Oh, Jamie, Mag doesn't want me to tell you owe us some sushi. She saw you and your mom making sushi, and you owe us sushi, she said. Bacon County. Who would want to live in Bacon County? Identifier AMG. They all must drive really nice Mercedes there. All right. Bacon County traffic. Who would not just love to say Bacon County traffic? It just sounds amazing. Hope they have a good restaurant in the field. Bacon County here is a dashed magenta line. Now, it also still has a Class Echo transition area around it, but as you can see, it is Class Echo airspace to the surface. Now, I'm going to ask this question in a funny way. Is Bacon County airspace controlled airspace? I'm asking it to you all. Is Bacon County airspace controlled airspace? If you are typing in yes right now, you're correct. It's Class Echo airspace. Class Echo airspace is very much controlled. A part of that control is the 3152 we were just talking about. A part of that control is the ability to receive radar services. Now, don't confuse this. Although Bacon County is controlled airspace, because it's Class Echo airspace, Bacon County does not have a tower. It is a non-towered field within controlled airspace. Mind blown yet? Sounds like an oxymoron a little bit. Look at it closely. Bacon County is still a magenta-colored airport, right? There is no control tower at Bacon County here. I hate to break it to you. It is very much controlled airspace, which means you're probably going to get radar surfaces all the way down to the ground and even on the ground if you so wish to pick up your clearance on the ground here at Bacon County. It is controlled airspace, but it is still an uncontrolled, pilot-controlled airport. You're still going to make your regular radio calls, Bacon County traffic, yet you're in controlled airspace, which means Class Echo airspace is controlled airspace. When you go flying on a VFR cross country at 3,500 feet somewhere and you choose to not get flight following, no big deal, recommend it, but no big deal, you're in controlled airspace. It means you have the option to speak to somebody if you choose to, right? Assuming the radar reaches there and everything else. And you're also controlled by your weather requirements of 3152. Does that make sense for everybody? Controlled airspace, uncontrolled airport. Those exist, and there's plenty. Bacon County is not unique. Does anybody else know of anything along those lines? All right, you ready for this one? All right, don't mind my map expired there. I'm now into charts I don't normally use. Wait a second. Airspace quiz team. Now we're looking at Jessup, Wayne County. What on earth is around Jessup? There is this thin, solid line around Jessup. What on earth is around Jessup County? Let me back out a little bit here so you can kind of see what's happening and what might be related to that and why Jessup, oh, I'm going to do my annotation there, why Jessup has that. Put it in the chat while I grab a sip of coffee. No, it is, if you're typing in Class C airspace, it is not Class C airspace. In fact, like Bacon County, Jessup is uncontrolled, pilot-controlled airspace. You would call up Jessup Wayne County traffic, probably is what they call themselves, right? Facebook user, I don't see your name, but you got it right. Dale Brush, yes. David Rosario Perez, yes. Absolutely. Look at this annotation right here. If you don't understand something, follow the arrows. Look at the annotation. Excludes airspace 1,500 feet AGL and below. What are they talking about? Look, we are in a MOA. Do you see the MOA right here? The magenta hash marks We are in a MOA. The MOA follows this river right here. It butts up to some restricted airspace. Let me change my color just for continuity here. It butts up to some restricted airspace right here. Do you follow me? So what this is saying is, listen, I understand that Jessup Wayne County is in this MOA. However, in this circle, you will not find, and a MOA is a military operations area. It excludes this airspace 1,500 feet AGL and below, meaning you can operate in the pattern here, you can do whatever you want without having to worry about all the issues that come with a MOA, the military training, the fast flying airplanes, everything else. All this means is the MOA is excluded inside of this circle. It is not a Class Charlie. That is look how thin that magenta line is, right? That's a very thin magenta line. Now let's go look at a real Charlie. Let's go up here. Who's this? This is Savannah. Look how thick that Charlie line is. And let me tell you something else. It is still a blue airport. A blue airport has a control tower, at least part of the time. Whereas if you look, right, Delta with a blue airport. Where'd Jessup go? Magenta airport. Does that make sense? The MOA is excluded inside of this airspace. And yes, Jonathan Carlisle, it is still a pilot-controlled airport. Whatever the traffic pattern is, I'd still fly my traffic pattern. You know, Jessup Wayne County, 23 Mike Zulu, turn left downwind, runway, whatever this is, Jessup County, right? I'd still do it. Keep myself below 1,500 feet AGL, right? Remember, that's AGL. I know you're flying in MSL, so you need to keep that in mind as well. You can look at field elevation. It's not anything exciting. It's only 107, but there's still a difference between MSL and AGL of 107 feet. So you just need to be mindful and concerned, kind of watching that. Okay, that's great. Let's go back to some familiar airspace for myself here, because I want to show a few other things. Now, we did the difficulty things now. Wait, I want to answer Carlos's question though. He said, so you must talk to someone if you're leaving above 1,500 feet. Let me ask you the question in a different way, Carlos. Carlos, do you need permission to fly into a MOA? There is a MOA right here. I'm putting this out to everybody. Do I need permission to enter into this MOA? Do I need permission? And better said, do I need to talk to anybody if I want to fly through this MOA? If I want to go from, let me change colors here. If I want to go from Ocala up to St. Augustine, let's say, I'm going to go right like that, up on my way to St. Augustine. Do I need to talk to anybody? The answer is no. You do not need to talk to anybody inside of a MOA. You do not need permission to fly through a MOA. Now, and I saw someone said it earlier, and Chris Stater said it even better. He said, no, but it'd be wise to ask if it's hot. Because what's happening in a military operations area? They're flying fast, they're flying low, they're flying slow, they are training. They're doing everything but shooting guns, basically. Now, what happens then inside of a restricted area? And this one I can tell you very well. The reason this one's perfectly round is this is actually our bombing range. So, can you fly through a restricted area? Pause for emphasis. Yes, if it's cold. Yes, if it's cold. If it's hot, no chance. Here's the solution to all this. If I was really doing this flight where that orange line is, I would call and say, hey, 23 Mike Zulu, I'm going to be transitioning the Palatka 2 MOA. Do you see the name there? The Palatka 2 MOA and restricted area 2906. Are either of those hot or cold today? And if they're both cold, I'm going to straighten this line up a little bit, right? I'm going to fly more of a straight path to St. Augustine, which will just barely kiss that restricted airspace there. If they tell me the restricted area is hot and the MOA is hot, you can fly through a MOA that is hot. You keep your head on a swivel when you do it. You can fly through a MOA that's hot. You better believe you need to get VFR flight following if you do it. And if this is hot and you are on an IFR flight plan, they will not send you to it. If I was on an IFR flight plan, they would take me out to like the Gainesville VOR and then in. They'd give me some different routing. They will not send you through a hot MOA on an IFR flight plan. In fact, let me show it to you a different way here. If I go and switch these to a low en route, let me get rid of my annotations here so you can see it better. See, for those of you who don't know what you're looking at all the IFR routing, the blue lines and the black lines there. Look how none of them go blazing through the MOAs, right? None of these, oops, I'm still annotating. None of these blue lines, none of those black lines. If anything, look, they go around it, right? You see how they go around it, like we're talking about? Around it, like we're talking about? They're just always prepared for it, to go around it, because if it is hot. If you're wondering what this line is here, that's a military training route. That's why that one does, do you see it there? That's why that one does. And actually, look, it goes into the bombing range and stops. What do you think they're doing along that one? Dropping bombs, right? So that's what's happening there. Now, Ryan asked a great question here. Let me grab a sip of coffee though. Ryan said, who do you ask? Well, you need to ask who is controlling this airspace. So we need to figure that out. So let me give you an example, Ryan. Let's say I do want to fly through this. Let me show you what I would do. Whoops, I got to stop drawing everywhere. Let's say I want to go through this. Go grab, Ryan, the nearest airport. Okay, I'm going to go through this. Let's go, and the frequencies are listed on the bottom of a sectional chart, and I'll show you where else you can get them in ForeFlight as well. But a really easy way how I do it on the fly like this is I go ahead, and let's go to something like the Palatka Airport, 28 Juliet, okay? So I'll go ahead and I'll go to 28 Juliet, Palatka. I'll come on over here. And do you see just above this NOTAM button, above the NOTAM button, I can't show a cursor, and I don't think I can annotate on this. Do you see where it says approach and departure? 118.175. That's who I would call. Now, I see some of you too, and I apologize for missing this. There's a lot of comments coming in. Some of you are asking, what is the meaning of hot and cold? Active or inactive? Hot means it is active. Cold means it is inactive. Hot or cold, hot or cold. All right, let's keep heading south here. I want to show one more thing, and then we're going to play a game, the rocket ship game. Who knows what we're going to do with the rocket ship game? Okay. Now, Disney is shown here. Disney, by definition, just your fun fact, Disney is technically, this applies to Walt Disney World and Disneyland in California as well. This is technically a temporary flight restriction. However, it has been around for so many years, it is now shown on the sectional chart. I call that a permanent flight restriction, but by definition, it's still temporary in nature. This came after September 11th when they received intelligence they thought Disney might have been a threat. So they put up a TFR, and that TFR still exists to this day. And yes, this is still a temporary flight restriction that's just been around for like 15 years. So that's that. Now, let me answer Bradley's question. Bradley asked from YouTube real quick. You're mostly right with your comment, Bradley. So I think hot means published hours are in effect. Now, this is the military. They can do what they want, right? They may have published hours that it's hot, and they may not be training that day. And although it's published that it's hot between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday, they're not going to train every day. The weather may be bad, whatever it is. They may not be doing those operations. The aircraft may be down for maintenance. Just because it says active from 9 to 5, from this altitude every day, doesn't mean really every day. Call and find out. The opposite of that is true. Just because it says it's hot from 9 to 5 every day, at 7 p.m. at night, it could go hot because they need to do some night operations now. It's their airspace. They get to decide. They just published when their goal is to utilize it. But it can be hot outside those hours, just like it can be cold inside of those hours. Here is the whole solution. Call and ask. And you're asking the approach or departure controller for that area. All right, let's go through. Coach Ray said, where's the bacon MOA? Bacon is hot. Okay, Michael Scott. You like to wake up the sound of crackling bacon. What would your radio call sound like? Let's go do it. All right. Jack's approach, Skyhawk, 23 Mike Zulu. 23 Mike Zulu, go ahead. Jack's approach 23 Mike Zulu. I'm 10 miles north of the Ocala Airport. Request the status of a restricted area 2906. 23 Mike Zulu, restricted area 2906. Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie are all cold today. Thank you. 23 Mike Zulu. Understand they're cold. If you'd like to get flight following too, you might as well ask him or her because you're 90% of the way there. But it's just that simple to ask that. You could call the flight service station on the ground as well, which is good. However, let me tell you something. You call them on the ground, you fly 30 minutes thinking it's cold, and the military decided, let's go train today. And now it's hot. I always call in the air because I'm going to get the most up-to-date information. You can call on the ground to the flight service station 1-800-WX-BRIEF as well. And still call in the air, just to have double backups on backups. That's what I would recommend with that. Okay, let's go back to Orlando. Okay, now you can see here we have Class Bravo airspace, this blue solid line. This is Class Bravo airspace from the surface to 10,000 feet. Whereas this shelf over here, this shelf being, let's see if I can draw it. Where would it go? How high does it go? It looks like this shelf goes from here to here, over to here, right? I'm just trying to draw it and divide it up for you there. So that we have this shelf here. Let me zoom in. You can see it goes from 900 up to 10,000 feet. As you can see, there's a little bit easier as well. From 900 up to 10,000 feet. That's a lot of airspace. Now, knowing this, the best way to do this is to apply it in the real world. So let's go ahead and let me clear my annotations. We're going to play a game we've famously played on In-Flight Coffee before called the rocket ship game. Elon Musk has called you. He said, hey, good news, James Fellows. You are the next great astronaut. I'm ready to launch you off. I need you to tell me all the airspace you're going to pass through. Your launch pad is right here. The moment your rocket lifts off, MzeroA Nation, what airspace are you going to be in? The moment your rocket lifts off, what airspace are you going to be in? You're going to be in Class D, Class Delta airspace. How do I know this? Because of the blue dashed line. When do I exit that Class D airspace? Well, to do that, look to the south here. This D airspace goes up to 1,500 feet. So here we go, we're launching in our rocket. We get now to 1,501 feet. 1 foot. Is that the right grammar? What airspace am I now in? So from the surface to 1,500, I'm in Delta. What am I in outside? Let me zoom out in case you need to see anything else. Outside of that Delta, what kind of airspace am I in? Put it in the chat. Thank you, Chris Stater. You're exactly right. We now bounce into Class E, Class Echo airspace. You are in Class Echo airspace from 1,501 feet all the way up to what altitude? We're going to space, remember. All the way up to what altitude? Who knows it? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. You're in Class Echo airspace all the way up to, thank you, Facebook user, 17,999 feet. Because at 18,000 feet, what kind of airspace do you hit, Anastasia? What kind of airspace do you hit, Lemonator, Coach Ray, Brennan? What kind of airspace do you hit, Danielle? At 18,000 feet, you hit Class Alpha airspace, Class A airspace. And just for fun, you are in Class A airspace all the way up until what point? Until what? I went to this view for effect. I imagine that's what it looks like from 18,000 feet. I've never taken my airplane that high. Tutor Mike Zulu has a service limit. You're in Class A airspace until when? Just for fun. This won't be on your check ride, just for fun. Thank you, Brennan. Until 60,000 feet. Who knows what kind of airspace you go into at 60,000 feet? What kind of airspace do you go back into? Outer space is a great answer, Rick. What kind of airspace at 60,001 feet? You go, thank you, Danielle, good job. You go back into echo airspace. If you ever want to quiz your friends, just ask them what kind of airspace is space. Duh, it's class echo, tell them. So there's your fun trivia. Space is class echo airspace, according to the FAA. All right, let's clear this one out here. Let's do it again. Let me find one a little more complex, Okay, complex it is. This is very complex. All right, right here, Dave G. Right here, Brian Cooley. Right here, Walter. This is where Elon is launching you from, right here. The moment your rocket leaves the launch pad, what kind of airspace are you in? Brendan said, who is space controlled by? The Space Force, duh. I wish Space Force was around when I was a kid. I'd totally join the Space Force. I think I'm too old for the Space Force now. Nor would Magda approve me joining the Space Force. The moment I clear the launch pad, wow, Chris Stater, way to show off there for a second. I love it. Smart guy. And you think you need the rest of the Safer Pilot Challenge. The moment you launch, let's look at this just a little bit closer though, Chris, because there's one at the very beginning we skipped. The moment you launch, oddly enough, you are in Class G, Class Golf airspace. Why? Well, look at this. Yes, I have this transition area here. Yes, I have this Charlie here. Yes, I have this Bravo here. I'm watching all of those. But look where my launch pad is. It's not near those. Well, it's near those, but not yet applying to them. The moment I launch, I'm in Class Golf airspace. I am in Class Golf airspace until I reach 1,199 feet. Why? Well, because I am outside. I'm in what's called domestic en route. I'm outside of this transition area. If I was inside of it, it'd be at 700 feet I'd hit it. Instead, I'm going to hit Class Echo airspace at 1,200 feet. But watch this. I'm only in Class Echo airspace for a heartbeat in a rocket because I'm only there from 1,200 to 1,300. Because at 1,300 feet, I enter into the Charlie airspace, as you can see here. You follow me with that? Now, I'm in Charlie until I reach its top, which is the Bravo shelf. And you see, I have this Bravo shelf right here, that starts at 3,000 feet. So from 1,300 feet to 2,999 feet, I'm in Class Charlie airspace. The moment I kiss 3,000 feet, I'm in Class Bravo airspace. I'm in Class Bravo airspace all the way up to 10,000 feet. At 10,001 feet, I break out of that Bravo airspace and I am in Class Echo airspace. I'm in Class Echo airspace from 10,001 feet up to 17,999 because then I reach Class A airspace. I'm in Class A airspace up to flight level 60, I guess would be the right way to say it there. And then from there I leave Alpha and enter back into Echo airspace. Crazy, right? And for those of you, I saw what you said there, Chris Stater. If you thought you saw this dashed line here, that's your east-west variance line. That's your line of deviation. That is not Class Echo at the surface. Look at the spacing on this line and now compare it. Let's go find an extension. I think Orlando Exec has one. Yes. Look at the tightness, how tight that spacing is compared to the same isogonic. Look, you can see them both on the same screen. Both magenta, both the same point of weight, I guess. It's the spacing that's the difference. Do you follow me with that if you got confused on that one? A little bit crazy, huh? A little bit crazy. All right, let's clear out of that. Can we do one more rocket ship game and then we'll move to some questions on airspace and everything else? Let's do this one right here. All right, you're going to launch from Lake Apopka, right here. Lake Apopka is our launch site. They count you down, you're locked and loaded, and ba-ba-boom, we launch. The moment you launch, Brennan, Holly, what kind of airspace are you in? The moment you launch, what kind of airspace are you in? Well, let's look at it closely here. Look at it closely here. I vote the moment we launch, we are in class. I love Holly's comment. She said her Amazon device, I won't say the names and spur everyone's devices to go off. Can we show that on there? She says, my Amazon device is named Echo and keeps trying to answer Jason when he says Echo. Echo! Just to get it going again. Echo, play Jason Schappert, Pass Your Private Pilot Check Ride on Audible. I just want to know if it's going to do it. All right, the moment we launch, we are in Class G airspace. We are in Class G airspace until, look, we have a Class Echo transition area, 699 feet. At 700 feet, we enter into Class Echo airspace. We stay in that Class Echo airspace. Turn off annotations here for a second. Let me put our launch site back there. We stay in that Class Echo airspace. I see it now. Until, look up here. Do you see how we're in this Bravo? We've got this big Bravo shelf here. We'll be in Class Echo airspace till 5,999 feet because, look at that thing I circled up there, at 6,000 feet, we enter into the Bravo. We're in the Bravo from 6,000 to 10,000. At 10,001 feet, we pop out. We're in Echo airspace. We're Echo all the way up to Class A airspace, which starts at 18,000 feet, all up to 60,000 feet. Ends our Alpha back up to Echo. Did anybody have their mind blown today? Show of hands, give me a mind blown emoji. Or was it a little confusing? Did I go too fast? Did anybody learn something today? How about that as well? I know we went over a lot. I know airspace is very, very complex when we dive into that as well, and can be just challenging sometimes to go through. But I want to open it up now, and Maggie, you could scroll down. The questions aren't loading for me there. Thank you. Danny, thank you so much. Yeah, we are always learning something. As you all type that in and use, if you're an instructor, use that rocket ship game. If you are learning to fly, take your finger and just boom, put it somewhere on the sectional chart and play the rocket ship game and utilize that to get a better understanding of your airspace, a better understanding of everything you're working through. That's going to help you so much. Use the rocket ship game in everything you do. It's now time for some questions. Any questions you have, anything is fair game. While you're typing your questions, I want to remind you, ground school members, if you are an active online ground school member or an aspiring ground school member for that matter, remember I told you this February, well, it's the year of 23 Mike Zulu, and every month we're doing a great promo, a great giveaway. This month we are giving away all 3 of our Check Ride ebooks to our online ground school members. So that includes Pass Your Private Pilot Check Ride as an ebook, and you can see that there. Magda can show it to you as well. Pass Your Private Pilot Check Ride, Pass Your Instrument Pilot Check Ride, Pass Your Commercial Pilot Check Ride. All of those are yours. So Holly and Hunter and Pete, all my ground school members, log into your account. Head over. If you're not a member, you can sign up and get this as an extra bonus promo as their ebooks to download. What you do is once you're logged in, so what you do once you're logged in, head over to, you'll land on your courses page, head on over to resources. From resources, click on documents. Documents, clicked on the manned aviation documents, and then scroll down, you'll see all the books there, private, instrument, commercial. You'll have to get those as a PDF. And in there too, don't forget all my other documents, my VFR radio communication scripts, my acronyms, Zulu time conversion, METAR cheat sheet, all that stuff is in there for you. So ground school members, hop in there and download those because we're taking those down. We're taking those down the last day of February. This is a promo just for online ground school members where you get all of those books for free. If you are not an online ground school member or you're a trialer and you'd like to become a member, well, we would certainly love to have you. Head over to MzeroA.com. You can click on Manned aviation there. Scroll all the way down. You could click that join today at the top if you wanted to, but scroll all the way down to read if you want as well. You'll see some testimonials from some great people that are on this right now as well. Scroll on down, and then from there you can click sign up. Bronze, silver, or gold membership gets you access to that book promo. You can go ahead. Gold membership gets you webinars with me each and every week, which is awesome. Where my members at? They're always on the webinars. So we'll get to chat about that as well. You can click become a member, do that. That promo is just for the ebooks. By the way, if you want a paperback or you want the audiobook, you still need to go grab that on Audible or Amazon, wherever you buy your books. That is just for the ebook for you to mark up on your iPad, your tablet, whatever you want with that. So that's that. Head over to MzeroA.com to go ahead and become a member or log in and access those. You do need to be a paying member. As a trialer, you're not going to have access to those links to download that. So you do need to be an active paying member to access those. Anyways, that is fantastic. So Dave G, go grab those. Darren, go grab those. Good to see you, Darren Anderson. The First Lady of MzeroA says hi as well. Okay, questions. Any questions? This is your time to ask them. I'll take a few minutes to grab some questions, then we will head on out, because I got some meetings. Magda's got family in town. We got Ella and Gavin are running around somewhere. It was intense parenting today, by the way, while you're typing your questions. This is how the conversation went in the Schappert house today. We had to hold court in the Schappert house this morning. Ella and Gavin got in a fight this morning, and I said, well, what's wrong? And Ella said, Daddy, I bought a hanger from Gavin for my Barbie jet. And I was putting my Barbie jet in the hangar, and Gavin came over and put his airplane in my hangar. And I said, you can't do that, I bought it. And Gavin said, no, I didn't sell it to you, I rented it to you. What 8-year-old and 5-year-old have a conversation about whether they bought or leased a hangar? And we're fighting about where Ella's Barbie jet was going to be parked. So that is how the Schappert house started this morning. I had to be the judge and the jury, and Ella won. She did buy the Barbie jet hanger from Gavin. She didn't rent it. So that was the debate. We can bring them in here later for a future consultation. But yeah, we have cameras and stuff. So we got all the intelligence on it. But that's the conversation our 8-year-old and 5-year-old have. Barbie jet, renting or buying hangers. She does have an awesome Barbie jet. If you're looking for a good present, the Barbie jet is highly recommended. All right, let's find some questions. Skeeter asked, are airspace questions on the commercial oral exam? You better believe it, my friend, and you better know that sectional chart forwards and backwards. Not just are they on it, it will be a very integral piece of your commercial pilot oral exam and flight exam for that matter. They're going to need to see you know those charts forward and backwards. Al Gibson asked a great question. Is 500 feet below the clouds enough to react to IFR traffic descending? That's what the FAA says. I've never had to test that theory. So people do, let me just give some more context to this, Al. People ask, why 500 feet below the clouds, but 1,000 feet above the clouds? Well, I don't have an airplane, I got a drone, so it's our jet. Oh, my airplane's behind me, but it's okay. We're gonna use the drone. If I'm coming down descending, I'm descending much slower. Jets don't want to come down, right? They want to stay up high and burn less gas. So they really pull it back and come down much slowly. So they're anticipating 500 feet below the clouds, you need time to anticipate a jet popping out of the clouds on you. Whereas 1,000 feet above, you've seen some of these jets climb out, they rip up to altitude, and they will pop out of those clouds going much faster in a climb than they will in a descent. Is it enough? I've never tested that theory. I aspire to own a jet one day, and I will give you a personal account of it, though, Al Gibson, if I believe it's enough. Remember this. Let me give it to you another way, Al. A 70% is the minimum standard for a written test. Al, would you feel good about yourself if you just got a 70% on your written test? There's not a person on this webinar that would be happy with a 70%, would they? Right? It is just the minimums, just the minimums. By the way, Alex said we descend 1,500 feet per minute in the B200. It means we would have about 20 seconds to get out of the way of each other. Not much. It's like getting a 70% on your written test. Make it 1,000 feet for you, Al, and everybody else, right? So think of that. Joseph said, what are good ways to learn proper radio communications with towers? I don't get much practice where I fly. Joseph, me either. If you read my story in Aviation Master, the book, my very first time at a towered field, I taxied the wrong direction and caused a runway incursion. So that was my, even I am not immune to it as a 16-year-old kid. 16-year-old kid going through that. Listen to things like liveatc.net. I shared it on that documents page inside the online ground school. I have all the scripts for it as well. If you'd like to see scripts, like fill in the blank kind of scripts, just so you have something to physically look at. Obviously, I can't map out every scenario when they give you these weird radio calls. To their Mike Zulu, there's a Hawker coming out of Delta 2, follow the Hawker. You're gonna come out of Delta 1, but follow the Hawker coming out of Delta 2, left on Alpha, right on Bravo to 3-6. I don't have that script in there because, and that happens sometimes, right? I got the standard ones in there though, but there's a lot of non-standard different things that happen sometimes that you need to be ready for. All right, it's 12 o'clock. Let's grab one more question here. Tatum asks, who do you talk to when entering an MOA with no towered airports? So remember, unfortunately, it's not required to talk to anybody. You could fly through a hot MOA, an active MOA, and not have to talk to anybody. Your head better be on a swivel, but you don't have to talk to anybody. You would talk to the controlling agency. So like that example I gave earlier of going to Palatka and looking up their approach departure frequency, you would do that and go that way. I can't see the name because it just says Facebook user. One more time, how to download the ebooks. Okay, so get logged in, go to MzeroA.com, click log in. Once you're logged in, you'll either land on your last active course or the courses page here. Go click on resources. From resources, go to the right, click on documents. Go to manned, because there's also drone documents too. At the very bottom of those, you'll see private, instrument, commercial. And don't forget the other things. Like there's those VFR radio communication scripts on the right side of your screen there that I was talking about as well. So think about that. Again, if you're not a member, head over to MzeroA.com and consider becoming a member. Not just amazing written test prep, not just amazing check ride prep, we're making you that safe, real world pilot. We do webinars each and every Tuesday as well, just a great opportunity to share and spend more time with you all. So listen, I am very, very thankful. I know there's more questions. I'll do my best to go back and answer as many as I can after this happens though, but I need to get going too. I've got a board meeting I have to go to, and Magda's got her dad in town, so I want to honor family time and everything else so we can do that. But just so thankful to get to spend time with you all. Hope you'll consider becoming a member of MzeroA. Again, that become a member, get those 3 ebooks for free is only happening this February. So if you are on the fence, I mean, the ebooks sell for $67 on their own, right? So that times 3 is what you're essentially getting in an ebook format as well. So it's super worth it. Basically negates your first month of membership and value there. So I hope you'll hop in there and take action on that. Ground school members, I'll see you live Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Really looking forward to diving into our topics we have coming up this month for us. Listen, have just a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. If you have some Safer Pilot Challenge to catch up on, it's a great weekend to go do it. And most importantly, remember, the good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you.